I want to let you know that enrollment is opening soon for the Push to 100. This is my 100-day alcohol-free program that gives you the tools, support, and community you need to take this next step with confidence. You don't have to wait until things get worse or until you've proven that alcohol is ruining your life. If you feel the pull to want something more for yourself, this is your sign. Just go to nomorewasteddays.co/100 waiting list or check out the link in the show notes to this episode and get on the wait list so you can be one of the first people to apply. Remember, spots are limited, so get on the waiting list today. Welcome to another episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sara.
I'm Heather.
And today we're going to be talking about what to expect at different milestones on your alcohol-free journey. And I'm going to be touching on 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And if this topic interests you, I want you to know that Heather actually did something very similar at the very beginning of our podcast. So gosh, it's probably one of the first 10 episodes, but it actually goes through the whole first year of your alcohol-free journey and what you can expect in that. So if you are listening to this and you go, oh my gosh, I want more, then I want you to go over and listen to that episode because you will get more. And I just think that stuff is so helpful. Did you find this kind of information helpful when you started your alcohol-free journey?
Absolutely. I like a timeline. I like to know what to expect. And I think this is a really cool topic, like 30, 60, 90, because those feel like the most fragile days.
Yeah, they really do. And I remember getting to 100 days, and I still to this day feel like 100 days was one of the most momentous milestones for me because it felt totally unachievable when I started this journey. I was just like, 100 days, like that is 30 days felt like, yeah, we'll see. Like I really went into it with that mentality, like, I don't know. We'll see if this actually works out or if I like it. And I mean, I did, and it did, but it really is. I feel like, and I know we say this all the time, I feel like people are always saying things like, I'm only in my first 30 days or my first 90 days. And me and Heather say it all the time. You're in the hardest part.
You're in the hardest time. Yep.
Yeah. So this is going to be really good for you. And people always ask me, like, when is it going to get easier? When will this all feel like second nature? When will I not constantly think about alcohol? And if you have thought this, then this episode is for you. And before we dive all the way into the episode, I want to remind you to check out the link in the show notes for the Daymakers and one-on-one coaching. I have lots of people reach out to me in my DMs and they say, do you work with people? And I do not personally work one-on-one with individuals at this time, but Heather does. And if you listen to the podcast, it's like, you know Heather, you can trust Heather. So check out that link for working with Heather. And the other way you can work with me is through the Daymakers. And I hop on weekly group coaching calls where I give a topic, kind of like you're listening to a live podcast recording, but then afterwards, you get to actually discuss that podcast recording with us. And I call it a podcast recording, but it really is like afterwards, I have questions prepared that I ask the people who are on live. And then I have questions prepared that I ask people throughout the week about that topic. So you really are diving into more. We also have a book club, and there's a 24/7 message thread where you can reach out to all of the members. So if you want that support in your journey, check out the link in the show notes for that. It is $7 to try out your first 14 days and see if it's a good fit for you. So go check it out. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so let's first talk about what happens in the first 30 days, and we're going to call this the wake-up phase. So what to expect as far as physical changes is better sleep, clearer skin, reduced inflammation. I want to say I didn't notice the reduced inflammation in the first 30 days. Do you remember that, Heather?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, do you remember if you noticed it within the first 30 days, or do you feel like it took a little? Oh, okay. Yeah. I feel like I noticed it when I look at pictures, but I didn't notice the physical transformations on myself like really until 60 days. And it's honestly because other people started to notice. So I'm sure they were there. I didn't really realize the physical havoc that alcohol was taking on my body. I don't know if I said that all correctly, but we're going to go with it. And then beyond that, there may be a little bit of an emotional roller coaster happening during the first 30 days. I do remember this.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you? Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think it's so important to be in a community in those first 30 days, whether it's an in person community like AA or what's the one? Recovery, Smart Recovery,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's something like that, or if you're doing something like the Daymakers or one on one coaching, because the cravings are still going to be really strong. And it is really common to have mood swings during these first 30 days. The one good thing is that the mental fog is going to start lifting. It won't be gone in the first 30 days, but it's going to, like, all of a sudden, it's like your brain starts working better. I remember that. That was a big one for me. How about you?
Oh, yeah. Felt like my memory was a lot better. Um, I could, I felt less foggy at work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I really noticed it was at work. I was just like, oh my, and I started to like my job again. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, I actually like teaching because at the time I was very down on my job. Well, it turns out I was going to my job hungover a lot. Even if it was a very mild hangover most times. It's not like I was teaching everybody and I was just so hungover, but I did have mild hangovers like every single day. And so if you're one of those people that says, "Oh, I don't have hangovers," you do. I just want you to know that. So some common challenges in the first 30 days may be romanticizing alcohol. And I think of that as when you start going, maybe I wasn't that bad. That's what I still have today. Do you still have that one?
No, no, I was that bad.
And well, and that's what I always remind myself. I'm like, no, you were that bad. And if I go back and actually like look at pictures leading up to when I quit, I'll go, oh my God, I was drinking. Like sometimes I just wonder, I did a post about the last trip I took as a drinker and we went on a cruise. I just wonder how I even survived, like the amount that I was drinking. And it is a testament to how much your tolerance increases as you keep drinking. So it's just like, it was a crazy thing to me. But another thing is that you may be having friends or family questioning the change. I didn't have this because in the first 30 days, I wasn't telling anybody. How about you?
I told some people for sure, and I said, like, I don't know if this is for everything. I know that is the right thing to do for me right now.
Yeah, that's kind of what when people, like I had a few people that knew, and when they would ask, I would just say, I'm taking a break. I'm seeing what this is like. I know what my life is like drinking, and I need to make a change. And then the last challenge, I mean, there's lots of challenges, but these are the three that I picked out, is that you may feel wobbly in social situations. In my first 30 days, I didn't really socialize. Like I felt too nerve wracking to me unless it felt like a very safe situation. How about you?
No, I did not socialize much, other than my daughter's first birthday party. And I felt like I was coming off a cruise, like wobbly in every way. And like I had no skin, just
Yeah.
period. So,
Yeah, you say that a lot, and I think it's a really good analogy. I mean, I also felt like I was just brand new, so it's kind of like that. So there's good parts to it and bad parts to it. Like you're brand new and you're trying out everything for the first time, so some things are going to be really scary, but also it's brand new and you're trying out things for the first time, so it's also exciting. So there's both things there. But definitely, I always tell people in those first 30 days, be very choosy about who you're socializing with, about the situations you're putting yourself in. If you are serious about staying alcohol free, then get choosy. And you can introduce in things later on and see how it feels. But in that beginning, so some tips for those first 30 days. I want you to celebrate every small victory. I was excited at 5 days. I was excited at one day. I was like, oh my God, he did one day. Like at 5 days, 10 days, every weekend was like a celebration for me. That was something that I put in my gratitude journal, where when I would write down my 5 gratitudes every day, I would write down things like, it's another weekend and I haven't had a hangover. That was a celebration. I also got connected with community at that time. That's when I started finding like sober TikTok. It wasn't really sober TikTok yet for me because TikTok was not a big thing yet when I first quit drinking. But I started finding all of the sober books like Quit Lit and just listening to all of those, and then finding sober podcasts. that was my community in the beginning. So me and Heather can be your community here on the No More
Yeah.
Wasted Days podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do that even in business. Sometimes I'll think, oh my gosh, I need some people who also run small businesses so I can bounce ideas off of them. And I'll be like, well, find it in podcasts, make those hosts your new best friends and really hang out with them. And then it's where you get to start building new rituals. Like, what do you do when you come home from work? What do you do each weekend? And it's just, I want you to just look at this as such a cool time for you and get excited about that. Like, it's not very often that we get to reinvent ourselves the way we get to when we quit drinking. So remember that. And remember that 30 days is long enough to feel proud, but it's not always long enough to feel fully transformed. That's totally okay. I think that's why a lot of people will do the 30-day challenge and then they're like, I'm going to do this again. Now I'm going to go for 60 days. And speaking of 60 days, we're going to move into what happens in those 60 days, and we're going to call that the clarity phase. Do you remember your 60 days?
I don't right off the top of my head. No, I don't
I
remember
know.
like the actual day, you know?
Yeah, I didn't really celebrate 60 days. And when I think about going from 30 days to 60 days, it's like I was learning how to make it more of a common practice at that point. And it was becoming less of a struggle. So during this time, you can expect energy levels to start to rise, which is such an awesome thing. Emotional regulation does improve in this time period. And you begin to see patterns. You begin to really learn like what triggers you and what soothes you. So I think that that's kind of a cool thing. Do you think that maybe you didn't recognize this time period because of that, like because it was just becoming second nature?
Yeah, and I think too are more inclined to remember the negative and all the negative experiences, so that could be why too.
Yeah. So, because the first 30 days were tough, and it's like by 60 days, you're like, oh. And so, the common challenges during this time is this is when pause can happen, which is post acute withdrawal syndrome. So, this is when, like, you got through that first initial withdrawals, but during those first, like, 3 days to the first week, where your body really is maybe having physical withdrawals. They're really hard. I know Heather experienced them really heavily. But then all of a sudden, this thing called pause can happen. And you start having again those emotional eruptions, or you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I was past this. So just be aware. It does not happen to everybody. And sometimes it happens even later. That's another thing that we've done an episode on. So definitely I'll link that one too. But it's just something to be aware of. What you may be thinking is that there is a plateau. Like you felt so amazing in the 30 days and then it kind of pauses. And then you might be even thinking like, well, when does the next cool thing happen? Or, or when do I start feeling better again? And then boredom or restlessness can creep in. A lot of people tell me that it happens in the beginning, but I think that it can happen later where you kind of go, okay, now I'm more used to this. Now what do I actually enjoy? And this is when I think a lot of that inner work needs to happen. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that inner work gets to keep on happening, you guys. Don't ever let go of the inner work because you are an ever changing person. Your likes and dislikes are going to change. And I think that that work is so crucial on you not becoming bored. And I've even been thinking that in different areas. Oh, I feel kind of like, oh, everything's just the same. Well, then it's time to zhuzh it up. So some tips and wins for those first 60 days. I want you to revisit your why and update your goals. So just like I was just talking about, don't let yourself become complacent. I also think it's a great time to try something new, like travel or start a new hobby or creative outlet. Heather, this is when you took a family vacation, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, see, I remember Heather's journey. I'm like, I was there for it. I remember her, and she's talked about that she packed a literal sober toolkit, like a tool bag, basically, with her journal and all of her good stuff. And it is, I mean, it's just a cool time. All of it's cool. And then I want you to think about journaling about your mental clarity and your emotional shifts. I think that this is really important because all the time your drinking brain will try to sneak in and go, hey, let's try out drinking again. This isn't so bad. And if you are doing things like journaling about all the positive changes, then you don't want to go back. You can go look at that journal and go, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Why would I go back? So I just want you to remember that at 60 days, you're not starting over anymore, but now you're building something new. And then we're going to move into the 90 days. When you hit those 90 days, you are in the rebuild phase. I think, like I said before, 100 days was my biggest milestone that I still remember. And I still think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. It's when I felt confident enough to say, I'm not drinking anymore. Heather has a different experience with 100 days because it's when you were very close to 100 days when you were given your cancer diagnosis, right?
Yeah, I think I had just hit 90, no, maybe closer to 100.
Okay. So you had hit that 100 days and like, okay. And then it was a big shift. And which I'm always just like, oh, it's just amazing. Like double applause for those
Thank you.
100 days, right?
Yes.
And so just know that this is the time where you start to feel that identity shift. You start to be like, I'm someone who doesn't drink. I think that this is when I wasn't thinking about not drinking every single day. Like I wasn't waking up going, oh, I don't drink, or waking up going, I don't have a hangover. Like I was just kind of stepping into this version of me that didn't drink. And then also the deeper emotional work begins at this time. This is when you can really start digging into your inner child work or just who you are. Like inner child, I feel like is very woo woo for some people. It really is just figuring out who are you? What are your likes and dislikes? And this is when you may be experiencing some grief over yourself as a drinker. I felt that more at 6 months. For me, that came later. But for some people, it does come earlier. And this is where you're starting to learn how to set all those boundaries because now you've been telling your friends, oh, I'm just taking a break. I'm just taking a break. And I feel like this is where a lot of people make that shift and go, you know what? I'm actually just quitting drinking. Like, and your friends have to make that adjustment. You have to make that adjustment. And it is just something where it's like, okay, now alcohol is not central to your life, but you still do need to be thinking about it. I don't want you to be thinking about all the time. And I wrote down in my notes, like, but vigilance is still needed. And I'm like, that's strong for me. But I want you to know that every day you still need to make that commitment to not drink. Do you still make that commitment each day?
Every day.
Yeah, I do too. It's either an affirmation or I'll just think about it briefly in the morning. It's not like this huge thing anymore. But in the beginning, it was like a little bit of a ceremony each day to write down, I do not drink. Like, this is who I am now. So some common challenges during this time period. The biggest one, I think, is that complacency. And you start thinking, maybe I can moderate now. I feel like people either say, I'm totally done at this point, or they say, I've gone so far. I obviously don't have a problem. I'm going to go back to drinking. Do you feel the same, that there's kind of the two paths you're going to take at this point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like it's where I watch a lot of people too, like even in the day makers or after the 30-day challenge, they'll come back and say, I did another 60 days and then I decided I could drink and it didn't work out for me. So let that be your, like, I let that be for me. My warning sign, I don't know. It just let me go, okay, it's not working for those people, so it's not going to work for me. Because at that point, I was in a big group. I found a group on Facebook through Annie Grace's alcohol experiment, and I had read her book, This Naked Mind. So I was like, okay, I'll be in that. I mean, and it really was like a group of like 30,000 people. And maybe there were 5 people that would post consistently. And like from time to time, one of those people would come on and go, I drank, and it was not worth it. Like that was, everybody would say that. So when I started thinking, maybe I can moderate now, I was like, why do I think I can? And I'm watching all these other people do it and they're saying no. So did you let that motivate you too? I don't want to say like watch other people's failures because it's watching them learn, but let it be a learning moment for you as well.
So I did the Luckiest Club, which is another online sobriety support group. And for me, like in the chat, you could check in on your days or milestones, and I would be inspired by folks who were at like a little bit ahead or a lot ahead. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And then when people would hop on and share like back to day 1, or I went on a 3-week bender, I would be like, see, this is why I don't need to drink. So both.
Yeah, both. And I've kind of forgot to even mention the watching other people's successes because I would see people in that group too posting like, I'm at 1,000 days. And I would just be like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine 1,000 days, but I want to get there. Or people posting, I'm at 1 year. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want 1 year. I gotta keep pushing forward so I can hit that 1 year goal too. So definitely use that to motivate you. This is also a time where you might feel like a subtle feeling of grief of letting go of your old self or your old social life. Again, I didn't feel this till 6 months. Do you remember when you started feeling this? Or did you?
Kinda. I mean, it's 6 months. I had already had like a double mastectomy and was preparing for a total hysterectomy and chemo. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah,
you
you
know?
were going through a whole different recovery process
Hmm.
of so it was just double. And I will say this is a very common thing for people though. Very common when you're going through any big major life change,
Oh, yeah.
where you will at some point grieve your old self or question, oh my God, did I make the right choice? Like I did that with moving out to the country, and I probably didn't do it until we sold our old house in the suburbs because it was an Airbnb and we could still go back to it from time to time for like the first 2 years, 1 year. Then it was a long term rental, and then we finally sold it. And when it was no longer ours, I had this moment of, oh shit, did we do the right thing? And we had already lived up here. Like, if we would have moved back at that point, like, I feel like, oh my God, that would have been so much more disruptive to like our kids' lives, our lives. But I still had to grieve that little part of me. Like, suburb Sarah was officially gone. And I feel like it's the same with drinking Sarah when I was like, whoa, she's officially gone. It's a big milestone. So, and I feel like for you, there was probably like pre-cancer, post-cancer,
Oh, yeah.
during, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just be aware that it's something that's going to happen. It's very normal. And remember too, other people are still adjusting to the new you. I still have this happen from time to time just because I'll see people who haven't seen me since I quit drinking. But that doesn't bother me so much. Did that bother you so much? Like I was kind of like, yeah, just you take your time adjusting to the new me because it's me. And like I was kind of like, I'm doing so much work on myself. I'm not going to feel bothered by you having to make a very minor adjustment to handle me, right?
Yeah. There was one person 3 years in that said, like, I'm just having a hard time getting used to the new you. And I was like, it's been 3 years, you
Right?
know?
I know. Like you're kind of like, okay. And I feel, I know it's terrible to say, but I just feel like, okay, I mean, you're not the one doing all the hard work.
Right.
All you have to do is show up and be my friend.
Right.
So I
And
don't
it's
know.
not like the new me is worse than drinking me.
That's kind of how I always was. Like, if there were people that I could tell, I never had anybody say it to me, but I know I had people just act different around me, and I was just kind of like, well, that's on them. They need to do some inner work. Maybe they should listen to this podcast. No.
Maybe so.
So maybe some tips and wins during these 90 days, this 90-day period will be that you're anchoring into routines that nourish you. This is definitely when I work with people in the push to 100 on like setting the next goal, stepping into this new version of you. What does this new version of you do? How can you make that look in your life? And it's also where you may start talking about your journey openly and owning your story. It's definitely when I did. I made some post on social media around 75 days, a little bit after. I was like, hey, guess what, world? And obviously, you don't need to do that. You don't need to put it out on social media, but I decided to. And it's also where you consider bigger goals. Like maybe you start going, okay, I've did this. Now I'm going to take on this. It's definitely where I decided, like at the time I was a Beachbody coach. That's no secret. And I finally was like, I'm going to go all in on one of the Beachbody programs. Like I had completed a ton of Beachbody programs because I really like to work out. I had not done the nutrition piece consistently. So I was finally like, I'm gonna do the little containers. I feel terrible saying this. I only feel terrible because you didn't get to eat a lot. Like I look at it now and I'm like, it was not healthy, but I did it, and I went all in, and I got this amazing transformation, and it was cool. It's kind of the thing I dove into at that point. I know I've dove into other things. Like I built a house. I quit my teaching job. I did some crazy things that I was totally planning on doing all before I quit drinking. I have to put that out there. I was planning on quitting my teaching job. I was planning on building a house, but it just, you get to do cooler things. I know Heather has. I know she's like changed what her career looks like. And tell me a little bit about it because I think it's
Yeah.
inspiring.
So, year two, no, I don't know.
I think it was
Af,
around year 2 or
yeah, year
during it.
two, during year two, I started my own podcast from my iPhone. And then I went to life coaching school. That was a like 10 month commitment.
Yeah.
And um, I developed like a lot of different hobbies and I would just try random things and I adjusted my routine 1,000 times. I think that's
I
important.
hear
And
that.
it's, yeah. And then like I really focused on like emotional sobriety. So I read a lot and I dove deeper in therapy with that. Uh, Golly, I moved, I think on my second alcohol free year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I was trying to remember. So a ton of stuff. I do think it's when like the farther you go, the more you feel comfortable trusting yourself, trusting your intuition and being like, okay, I can make these changes. But definitely at 90 days, it's like it's not the finish line. It's where you've built this really strong foundation of what your alcohol-free life can look like if you choose to keep going forward. So it's a huge step. So if you are close to that 90-day mark or the 100-day mark, because I celebrated both. I was like 90 days. And then I always joke that from 90 days to 100 days, it felt like 10 years for
Oh, yeah.
those 10 days to pass. Because I was just like, oh my God, I want 100 days so bad. But it just like, it's such a cool thing. So if you are going through the early stages, you're going through the 30 days, the 60 days, or 90 days. I want you to remember that we were calling the 30 days the wake up phase, 60 days, the clarity phase, and 90 days is where you get to rebuild that foundation. And I want you to remember that progress is not linear. Every journey is unique. So some of the things I said in this, you might be like, oh, I'm actually in 30 days and I'm already feeling that. Am I not supposed to? No, you're allowed to. That's totally awesome. And just always remember, no matter what, you're not behind. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. I,
Yes.
I feel like I tell myself that every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing I've been telling folks and myself recently is you are doing better than you think you are.
Yes. Oh, I think that is so important. Ryan and I can really beat ourselves up and be like, oh, we barely got anything done this month or did it. And then I'll be like, whoa, stop. Let's just do a quick little mental inventory of all the things that happened in our life and all the things that we like completed on developing our land or whatever and within the business. And usually when we do it, we both go, oh. So oftentimes we feel like we're not doing anything just because days are hard. And then a lot of times they feel like, oh my God, I didn't accomplish anything today. But it all adds up, all the little baby steps. So if you are on your journey and you want some support, I want to remind you to check out the link for one-on-one coaching with Heather or check out the link for the Daymakers. And if you have not already, be sure to rate and review the podcast. It's an awesome way to let other people know that this podcast is out here and that it can help them as well. And I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. And Heather, did you have anything else to add?
I just want to reiterate that you are doing better than you think. And we're just going to keep it moving, doing the next right thing. All right. Next week, we'll see ya. Bye, y'all.